1. A little backstory. I worked at a large cell phone retailer through college. The store was in a busy town area of the city, so we saw a lot of class diversity. Everything from crazy, tweaked-out homeless people to business types on their lunch breaks. Because of this, they wouldn't let only females work at one time. Story time. One rather slow morning, it was just my boss and I working. He was in the back office doing manager stuff, so it looked like I was the only one in the store. This guy comes in asking about our phone plans. As I'm going through the sale, he kept getting increasingly nervous. By the time I checked him out with his new phone, he was weirdly giggle-smiling and fidgeting. I thought he might be nervously gearing up to ask me out. As a socially awkward individual, I expedited the checkout process and quickly excused myself to the back office to hide it out. I'm sure anyone in customer service can relate to not wanting to awkwardly turn down people who hit on you at your place of work. He left. My day went on as normal. Then the phone call started. I answered the phone. "Hello, this is blah blah, how may I help you?" Just breathing. "Hello?" Breathing intensifies. My mind goes to the awkward guy earlier this morning, but I try not to jump to conclusions. Maybe it's a prank call. About an hour later, it happens again. I hang up immediately and tell my manager, who offers to answer the phones. About an hour later, my manager comes out and says someone is calling with a question, and they worked with me. Normal stuff. "Hello, this is..." Breathing. I motion to my manager, handing the phone back. He puts the phone to his ear, hears this creep, and just yells, "Oh, what the hell, don't call back here!" The next few days, my store starts getting phone calls asking for me. Always responding I'm not working and can't say when I'll be back. I start getting walked to my car after every shift. Then on day 3, after a morning of multiple calls, this guy just shows up. Just one male coworker and I working all day. He walks in with a to-go bag of food, important for later, and starts perusing the headphones displayed on the wall. I motion to my coworker. "This is the guy. Red effing alert!" Hero coworker jumps up and helps the guy. "Hey man, what's going on?" This guy was no longer normal awkward guy from a few days ago. He was calm, eyes opened way too wide, creepy smiling at my coworker. He was paying attention to me. "How much for the headphones?" Hero coworker starts awkwardly keeping up his customer service, asking about which ones he may want, etc. The guy just stands there, saying nothing, solid 20 seconds of not answering his questions. Just a creepy stare. Then he turns without a word and walks out, the entire time not looking at me. Once he leaves, my coworker tells me to go back and call our manager. I'm spooked. The manager says if he comes back, tell him he's banned from the store. Not even an hour and he's back. To go, food in hand. This time the store is busy. I quickly explain to the customer I'm working with what's going on and run to the back office. We have store cameras displayed on a monitor, which I'm now glued to. I see hero co-worker go up and talk to him. He just backs out of the door. This dude literally walks backward 10 feet, never taking his eyes off my co-worker, smiling. Co-worker comes back and tells me to call the non-emergency police number. Police catch him sitting outside with his doggy-to-go box. Co-worker and I are peeking out the window from behind the phone case display. A young police officer comes in and explains the guy said I asked him to buy me lunch, and we were dating. I informed him I sold him a phone 3 days ago, and he was harassing me since by calling the store multiple times. Coworker backs me up, telling him about the creepy breathing. A while later, 2 police officers come back in to let us know he's been banned from the store. Older police officer says, call back immediately if he comes back. The guy's on probation for doing this to other girls. What? The rest of the day goes by, and coworker and I are in high alert. Close to the end of the day, we've settled down, sitting at a table, shooting the shit when he goes, "Don't look behind you. He's back. Just walked into the back room." This guy's standing in the window looking into the store, just standing there. We called the police, but he left way before they arrived. A police car parked outside the store for the rest of the shift. I never saw a creepy stalker again. I don't think his motive was to actually date me. I think he just got off on scaring girls. None of his actions were normal by any means. But creepy stalker, I hope we never meet again. 2. This is the story of 3 disturbing encounters with the same man. Let's not make it 4. I was 15 years old at the time, and out to a weekend afternoon movie with my friend. We were really early, so we decided to take a look around a nearby toy store to kill some time before the previews began. I was strolling absent-mindedly down an aisle by myself, looking at toys I felt far too old for, when I heard an odd whistle. If you've ever heard the iPhone notification chime, then you have an idea of the sound I heard. I thought nothing of it. Maybe it was someone's phone and moved through the aisles, eventually meeting back up with my friend. We walked around a bit more, talking and laughing, and I heard that whistle once again, being preoccupied with my conversation more than anything. I still didn't pay it any mind. On our way out of the store, I heard the whistle for a 3rd time, but much closer, practically right over my shoulder, and I whipped around mid-sentence. A man stood there grinning from ear to ear in a strangely sinister way. The smile didn't fully reach his eyes. He was a bit on the small side, scraggly with long hair tied back in a low ponytail. He had on a tattered black t-shirt which hung loosely around his thin frame, and a bulging black drawstring backpack. "Hi," he said, stretching his lips even wider around his contrastingly bright white teeth. As a teenage girl, I was no stranger to the attention of older men, but something about his persona and approach set me on edge. But I was always taught to be polite. "Hi," I responded tentatively, taking a step backwards and away from his intense stare. "I have noticed you around the store, and I thought I could get your opinion on something." He unfurls a crumpled, stained copy of the store's weekly ad, and pointedly stabs at the Barbie doll selection with his index finger. "See, I'm looking for the perfect doll for my niece, and I just have no idea which one to pick. What do you think?" He looks up and smiles, but his eyes are dark pools of nothingness, devoid of any real interest. "This one is nice," I say, pointing to a doll at random, hardly looking at the ad. "Ah, thank you. I really appreciate that. Hey, has anyone ever told you how pretty you are? You must go to the gym often. What gym do you go to?" Taken aback by his abrupt stream of rehearsed-sounding pickup lines, I say thank you and force a laugh. I'm young, and so is my friend. Our inexperience and his strange approach keeps us frozen in place. His eyes bore only into mine, and his grin, wider still and deeply disconcerting, never fades from his face. "Hey, do you want to be friends? I'd like very much to be friends with you. You know what friends do? They take pictures together. Let's take a picture together since we're friends." He holds up a red flip phone with the front cover held together by a rubber band. He activates the front-facing camera, and before I can say anything, he leans into me, face uncomfortably close, and snaps the picture. He looks at it briefly, smiles, and pockets his phone. "There, now, we're friends," he says matter-of-factly, and turns his gaze back to me appraisingly. Stupidly, in a horrified daze, I nod. "So where are you from? Where are you going after this? What do you like to do?" My friend puts her hand on my arm, and I suddenly break from my stupor. "We have to go. My dad's waiting," I say, and we turn to go. My last but not final glimpse of him is with his head cocked to the side, and that wide smile spread across his face. His eyes now flicker with something I can only recall as amusement. We turn our backs, and as soon as we get far enough away from him, we run. Fast forward to a year and a half later. I'm in my junior year of high school, and on the early morning bus heading to my first class of the day. The bus is packed, and I squeeze my way to the back, reaching out a hand to grab the pole as the bus brakes sharply. I hear a whistle close to my ear. When I hear it again, I adjust my earbuds in my ears. Why isn't that person answering their phone? A hand closes right above mine on the pole. It is too close, and our fingers brush, but the person holds their hand there almost intentionally. I move my hand and glance up into the broad smile of the creepy man from the toy store. Cold chills shoot down my spine, and I grip the pole even harder until my knuckles turn white. He tilts his head, still smiling his toothy grin, and says, "Hi, friend. The bus is so jam-packed that there's nowhere else for me to go, so I turn my body as far away from him as possible, hoping that playing dumb would work in my favor and he would go away. He leans closer still and says, "Hi, do you remember me?" I shake my head no and lean as far away as I can in the tight space. He frowns and looks suddenly angry. "No, I know you. We met before, we're friends." I shake my head again, looking down, pretending to be engrossed in my music player. Maybe if he didn't get a full look at my face, he might think he had me confused with someone else. "No, I have your picture," he says, and he reaches into his drawstring bag, pulling out his red flip phone held together by frayed rubber bands. All the while I'm thinking, if he sees me get off at the bus stop to my school, he'll know where I am every day, and can find me easily, but if I get off at a random stop before my school, he could get off with me, and I have nowhere else to go. He's still scrolling through his phone, and I'm imagining all the other girls' pictures he might have on there when he asks, "So what school do you go to?" I think about saying mind your own business, but remember his angry frown from before, and give him the name of another school. It doesn't really make any sense because this bus only goes past one high school, and not the one I told him, but he nods at this and says, "Hold on, I have your picture somewhere here. We're friends." The bus pulls up to my high school, and there's nothing else I can do but to get off. While he's still preoccupied with his phone, I lose myself in the crowd and run all the way to the school. I'm shivering when I get to my first period classroom, and I can hear the blood rushing in my ears. I ask my boyfriend to take the bus with me every morning for the next few weeks, and I change up my route going to and from, but I don't see him again until 2 years later, and I am a sophomore in college. I am taking the bus home alone after a late night out with friends when I hear a weird whistle. Enough time has passed that I don't feel much alarm and exit the bus at my stop. It is completely dark out, and I am one of 2 people who get off. Then from behind me I hear, "Hello there, do you remember me?" I turn around and it's him again. It's hard to make out his features in the dark, but I instantly remember the tone of his voice, recall the whistle, the tilted head, and the wide, toothy smile. I see what looks like a backpack strapped to the front of his chest. "No," I say, and start walking faster, heart racing, wondering how fast I can run in these flip-flops. I hear him picking up speed behind me, and I dare to glance back. I glimpse him starting to run at me, his hands in his backpack, digging around for something that I don't want to know. He is angry now, smile gone, and shouts at me, "So you want to be that way?" I start running and don't stop until I get home. So to the whistling man with the backpack, "No, I do not want to be your friend. Let's not meet again." 3. I have had a lot of stalkers, more than I would like to admit. They are all creepy, but for some reason, the guy I'm going to talk about here was the most creepy, but yet the least harmful of them all. We met in college through friends in common. We had similar interests, similar humor. He had been to the same events in the city, and he had actually known me way before when I did cosplay. So when we started talking about hanging out a lot, I, for some reason, never felt comfortable hanging out with him alone, so I always had a friend with me, and refused to see him outside of the university campus for some reason I still can't explain. He always seemed bothered by it, but never said it out loud. Around a month after meeting him, I was horny, feeling lonely, and hadn't been to any social gatherings recently, nor had any flirting or someone to flirt with. I accidentally mentioned this to Kevin, this guy, when chatting one day, and he suggested he felt the same, and that we should take care of that together. He isn't a bad-looking guy, and seemed pretty kind by the way he spoke and offered it to me, so I said, "Okay, I'll go to your house after class, and let's see if we have some sort of chemistry." Kevin was a medicine student, I am an art student. Our faculties are separated by literally a kilometer. He had never been in my hallway, or my faculty for all of that matter. I had never been in his either. We and our friends always met in the middle of both. But that day, as I was going out the door, he was there, waving. I asked how the fuck did he know where I was, and when my class ended. He didn't answer and just smiled like a kid who just surprised his mom with breakfast or something. So off we went to his house, which was conveniently close to college, around a 10-minute walk. I started to invent excuses before I was feeling uncomfortable, like having to go buy bread, or checking an art store, or doing this and that, and he accompanied me to everything I came up with. I ran out of things to say and finally ended up at his place. I still remember him hard breathing while we were both in the elevator. Fast forward maybe an hour of us awkwardly talking in the living room, trying to start the deed but failing. I faked a stomach sickness, said that I needed some homemade medicine, common in my country, and he magically had all of the ingredients. He tried to rub my stomach, and I kind of freaked out and told him leave the touching for later when I feel better. Fast forward half an hour, he went into his bedroom and came out in his underwear, socks, and a Burger King crown on his head. Asked if we were going to get down to it or not. I'm normally a no-filter person, but his behavior kept putting me off. And I figured by now that I had been uncomfortable since the very beginning, but that it was probably best to act as dumb as I could. So I convinced him that today wasn't the best day to do that, and we left. He insisted on escorting me back to college, just in case, but I refused. But he still followed me in silence, walking around 5 meters behind me. I saw him with the corner of my eye, decided not to confront it. I gradually started ghosting him, stopped replying to his messages, gave him vague answers, stopped sharing my information, answering just, okay, well, yeah, I know, right, oh, okay. This went on for another 2 or 3 weeks. I barely gave him any information on my whereabouts either, so I thought he'd leave me alone. He still showed at my hall and my faculty from time to time, but I made sure to avoid him as much as I could. Also, I started hanging more with some other friends that didn't know him. You see, this is where it gets creepy. Before I knew him, I joined the football team of my school, career major, so most of the afternoons I was always at this same court where we trained and stuff, and stayed there for around 4 hours almost every day of the week. I had been going there with my new group of friends for 6 months to train, and Kevin came into my life for 2 more months. In this 2 months, I'd never told him where I trained. I did tell him I played football, but never that I played inside the college campus. One night, he messaged me as usual. I was still in the process of gradually ghosting, so I chatted for a bit, with long time intervals in between messages, and casually mentioned that no, I couldn't meet with him the next day because I had class and then training. He asked when I was getting off practice, and I said I don't know, probably late. Then completely stopped answering. Next day, afternoon, I trained with my dudes as usual. I'm still the only girl in the team. It attracts creepers, but I learned to ignore them, and they usually all chill into a tree that's behind the fence where I normally stand. I play as a goalie, so I normally don't look back or to other places that isn't the game in front of me. We play for around 4 or 5 hours, chill a little in the court benches, then head to the law faculty, which is the closest place where we can refill our water. This has been our routine for the entire 8 months. The law faculty is still pretty far away from the court, but we like it there. While my friends are refilling their coolers, I check my phone. It starts buzzing, and I see the unread message pop-ups increase from 9 to 17 in seconds. Where are you? I don't see you. Please tell me where you are. I'm looking for you. Fuck, I go to the bathroom 1 minute. 1 minute! And that's the minute you decide to disappear. How do you do this? I've been watching you all afternoon, and you didn't move for 4 hours. Where are you? Fuck, I can't find you. You look nice playing, though. Very nice. Probably these dudes all flirt with you. Keep training to get that body looking even more good. I still can't find you. Are you going to tell me where you are or not? Can we hang out later? I miss talking to you. God damn it, I swear, if I don't see you right now, I'm leaving. Where are you? I nervously looked around, closed the chat, and locked my phone. We were on the 2nd floor of the faculty. My dudes didn't notice I was nervous, but I casually grabbed the arm of the biggest one of them, and my best friend too, and hung on to him, whining about being tired as an excuse. Once we finished going down the stairs, Kevin walked right in front of us, went towards us, and casually kept walking to go upstairs. We locked eyes for a second. I smiled at a joke and grabbed my friend's arm even tighter, but inside I was freaked out. The dudes, of course, didn't notice. There were 5 of them, and all of them are buff. To this day, I still think he didn't do anything because I was surrounded by guys who clearly could beat his skinny ass off. Whatever that anything was. I had planned on staying after practice that day to chill and maybe have a beer or two with whatever friend I could find. But I ended up leaving as fast as I could, once all my friends decided they didn't want to stay and refused to accompany me to the other exit of my uni. We all had to take different exits that were closer to our houses on the route we took to get home. So I ended up faking I had to go the other direction, which was conveniently the exit Kevin took to go to his home, just so I didn't have to walk alone. I didn't see Kevin again after this, and I completely ghosted him after that night. I still have him added on Facebook to be able to check his whereabouts and avoid him. Thanks for leaving the country, Kevin. Hey everybody, Hellfreezer here, and thank you very much for listening to 3 True Scary Stories, episode 487. And thank you very much to everybody who allowed me to use their stories in this video. I do have to remember... In the glitch video I did last time, I did 2 shoutouts, but I actually had 3. I forgot to do 1. So, let's see. Yes. I did link the podcast in the description of the video, but the author of story number 7, it's the one with the lampposts, they have a podcast called the New Illumination Podcast, and that is available on Spotify, I believe, assuming that's the right one I found. If you just go search on Spotify, it'll pop up. Or the link is in the last glitch video. Story number 7. Okay, and with that, I'm going to head off for now. So until next time, thank you very much for listening, and take very good care of yourself.